been the thing that's missing on the side of Giants, playmaking in the early game. The last few weeks, it has started to get better for them. They now need to work on transitioning those leads they've managed to get early on in the last few games into a strong mid game.
And G2 looking to bounce back after their performance against Misfits yesterday. It wasn't a bad match at all. They had good parts of the match. Just as a whole, it didn't look as cohesive as G2 have in the past.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue for G2 is they drafted a very difficult to execute team comp. A lot of squishy players, a lot of carries on their side meant that if they got a lead, it looked really good. And if they kept it going, fantastic. But the second you make a mistake, the second you let a team fight happen, that's when they were punished and lost the game.
Someone who did make a couple of mistakes yesterday was Jankos, got caught out a couple of times, which did lead to Misfits winning the game in the end. We've jumped into picks and bans. Swain, Talia, and Heimerdinger Morgana bans here.
Ban Aatrox. Giants, you gotta do it. We just saw what happens when you leave it open. I'm sorry, you don't get a third ban.
I'm trying to read Kubes' lips. It's like, should we ban Aatrox? Should we do it?
He's like playing with the crowd right now. He's like, let's wait all the way until 1 second and then ban it. Make them think we'll see it again.
Ruin's just like, I can't find Aatrox. Where is he? Where is he? It's the first champion. Oh, they banned Braum.
Oh,
Aatrox
no.
left up here. Wonder. First pick. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm excited because we get to see Wonders Aatrox. Most likely it could, of course, be Perks in the mid lane like we saw in the last match, but man, this is again a very risky thing to do, and like I said in the last match, Giants have to have some sort of strategy prepared against it.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, and you played against Aatrox in playtesting, you've seen it a few times now. If you were to devise a strategy to shut down Aatrox, what would you do?
I like, as a pick, I really like Fiora against the champion. The mobility she has with her Q means you can dodge away from the sweet spots, and then once you get 2 items, split pushing in the side lane should be easy business for that Fiora. But I think at the same time, you have to just have a jungler that's willing to play around that top lane, or wherever the Aatrox plans on going, because he will 100% be shoving and trying to play aggressive in the early game, and that can be punished before level 6.
Oh, Joko has the Nocturne, a champion that is usually most effective at the level 6, but can gank before that point, of course. Looks like G2 are going to lock in the Tahm Kench for themselves as well. Interesting to see Joko move on to another different jungler. He's played 8 different junglers in the 8 different games they've played thus far this split. So still experimenting, still trying to work out exactly what works for Giants.
Yeah, and Ruin has been another player that's played a different, unique champion in every single game. And that's just sort of been the story of Giants. They haven't settled on a strategy that's worked for them. They've thrown a lot of different changes into the mix of things. And if they can pick up a win, once they do, that's when we'll start seeing them stick with one strategy that works for them.
G2, on the other hand, have an AP pushing bot lane once again in the form of the Ziggs. We assume it will go in the hands of Hjarnan down towards that bottom side, who has shown himself competent on the Heimerdinger. And Ziggs, a very similar playstyle, you just push up the lane and then leave, and hopefully go somewhere else eventually.
Absolutely. It also makes it very easy for your support, whether it's the Tahm Kench, to use that Abyssal Voyage and leave the map, just because you can shove out the lane relatively easily. But Giants, I think, with an Alistar and Illusion, are looking to play around Steelback in the bottom lane. There's a lot of kill pressure in that 2 versus 2, and once Joko hits level 6 as well, there's certainly ability for him to make his way down there and get the ball rolling.
Have to keep our eyes down towards that bottom side. Second phase of bans are coming out. Talon removed by G2. Kindred taken away by Giants, trying to pinch that jungle pool just a little bit. But of course, G2 have all the options in the world open to them, because they could funnel this Aatrox if they wanted to. Ooh. They could go for a tank jungler as well, something like the Sejuani, which has been removed now by Giants.
That's the other great strength of Aatrox. Not only is he just really, really strong by himself, he's also a flex pick. We've seen him played by Wunder in the top lane. We've seen him just played a moment ago in the middle lane as well. So no matter what, Giants have to blind pick one of their solo lanes right now and wait to see where exactly that Aatrox will be going.
And we talked about how much they want to utilize Betsy as a catalyst for their teams. I think you blind pick the top lane and you leave Betsy for that final counter pick.
I like it. And again, this is the Rumble that we saw. Tried to get drafted into the Aatrox in the last game, has been played across a few different regions in the world. I mentioned it briefly, it boils down to pressure you can create in the early game with that champion, but I think it's the Aatrox in the middle lane. Perk switches over to the Smite. We're going to see a Gragas in the top lane and a Trundle in the jungle for Yenko, so Ruin doesn't even get that advantageous matchup.
Okay, so if you're Giants now, you need something that can pressure the Aatrox early on. Ooh. Looking towards the Aurelia at the moment alongside that Nocturne. A possibility? Something like the Malzahar locks him down a little bit easier.
There's so many different options, because we haven't actually seen a good counter pick yet into the Aatrox. He's just won every single lane matchup. and Galio is not a pick that's going to beat him in lane. It's very much about vacating the premise and making plays happen across the map.
Okay, so we're looking to make plays happen, probably in the top lane, probably down towards that bottom side as well with Lucian. Don't expect mid lane to be the key point of focus, at least for Giants. G2, on the other hand, have the Aatrox mid. We've got Gragas top, who of course was buffed on this patch. Wonder, one of the best top laners here in Europe. So they have a slew of playmaking opportunities and a slew of options as to how they play this composition.
Absolutely, and for G2, I remember way back in the day, there have been periods of time where both Gragas and Rumble have been popular simultaneously in the top lane, and always that matchup has sort of been, well, the Rumble usually has early push priority, but Gragas with the E, with the body slam, has such a strong ability to set up ganks for his jungler. It's very easy to lock down this immobile Rumble with the assistance of one's jungler.
Okay, so both the junglers want to go top, is what I'm hearing. Both the junglers maybe want to go mid as well, maybe bot. Junglers just want to do stuff in the early game.
Absolutely. For Joko, we need to see stuff happen, of course. The Nocturne may be a little bit slower. I think for G2, it's much more about the top lane and perhaps the middle lane, whereas Giants very much so have a lot of faith in Steelback's Lucian in this game and the playmaking potential of Sir Nukeslot to get stuff going in the bottom lane.
We will keep aware of exactly what's happening with the junglers early on and what's happening down towards that bottom lane, because a lot of impetus has been put on Steelback in the past, and he hasn't always been the carry that his team has needed him to be. He's shown moments of brilliance, and this is a prime opportunity for one once again. We're going to jump onto the Summoner's Rift. Giants versus G2. Top versus bottom of the table, and Giants need to start that comeback soon. They need to start winning games, otherwise they are well out of playoff contention.
And of course, G2 coming off of that loss against the Misfits yesterday, need to get right back on the horse, keep trucking on forward. These are the matchups that they should win. They should come in, business as usual, and move right along. But it feels like there's always been those moments in the past where the bottom teams are not, looked on as highly, and they're able to pull off the upsets in moments like this where usually you say G2 all the way.
And you just have to look back to Rift Rivals for such an occasion. Splice were looked as a team that had no opportunity of challenging Team Liquid, took them down. G2 maybe thought they should dominate against Echo Fox as well, and they lost the first game of that final day. So always an opportunity for an upset story, even though he plays for Schalke, not for either of these two teams. Wonder and Jankos looking for a bit of an invade here, trying to shut down Joko in the early game. Joko places a ward, and we'll spot that out. My question is how much Betsy can take from Perks on this first camp. You do have the Winds of War, so you can clear out those Razorbeaks pretty quickly. But
notice that Wadid and Hjarnan are both waiting in this brush because they know the strategy is to walk in here if you're Betsy and try to counter jungle some of those Raptors away. So we might actually just see a fight break out in a moment.
A little bit of level 1 action. Alistair obviously very good there. Wadid knock back. Hjarnan gets a bit of damage in. There's the knock-up as well. Wadid down to about half, but so's Betsy. Perks lands the knock-up, but the flash away from Betsy's enough. And so Nukeslot has a flash in his back pocket if he needs it. Doesn't. But G2 do not get the Razorbeaks.
That's very important here for Giants to be able to shut down Perks at the moment, but it's still such a concern because now Perks will be able to potentially punish a flashless Betsy while Joko makes his way into the top side.
He took Barrel first as well, so doesn't have the body slam. Flash away straight into the Fear. Ruin with the flash chase. That's first blood, and Giants come out swinging.
Beautifully done there from Joko. Red buff immediately topside. He knew that Jankos started on that bottom half of the map. Should be able to walk his way into the G2 jungle, steal away the blue buff for himself to pull off the trade. And now that Wonder doesn't have a flash, maybe there's repeat potential here for Joko too.
Perks is coming up here. He knows that Joko has the opportunity for going for that blue buff, so just trying to spot out the enemy jungler, keep track on him. Will land the knockup, but shouldn't be able to do too much here. Does get a lot of trading damage down. The final knockup comes out, but Betsy's on his way as well. Winds of War used. Perks willing to step forward and actually chases Joko away.
But you can just see the power of Aatrox in these early levels. He doesn't have flash. He's 1 versus 2. He still punishes Joko. And Joko sticks around. He's very low on mana, and Jankos is going to be looking for the collapse.
Yeah, Joko was hoping the mana he got from the Scuttle Crab would be enough to help him take that blue buff, but flashes away. He's looking for the execute here. Jankos shouldn't be able to get in range, and Joko will execute underneath the tower. So still no kill for G2, but not the best for Giants after a strong start.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, Joko has to do that. I think he flashed just in case Jankos had skilled up the pillar at level 2, which sometimes we see out of the Trundle to take Scuttle Crab very early on. but still got to be very happy with that first blood he was able to secure up on the top side of the map. Successful early game so far for Joko, despite that execute.
And a successful start for Giants as well. We talked about how this is very much an underdog matchup for them. If you want to get someone ahead, it's Joko, it's Ruin in the top lane in that good Rumble into Gragas matchup. If you can hit G2 while they're down, while they're reeling from their loss against Misfits yesterday, maybe you can sneak away a win.
That's got to be the hope for them. They've felt confident from talking to players on the team, even though they are losing here. They feel like they're doing a lot of the things correctly in order to come away with wins. The issue has been that they've gotten early leads like this. Joko has made ganks happen early on into matches. They just haven't been able to transition that. So we have to look at Joko. Where can he gank? There's a no flash in the top lane, no flash in the mid lane. There is potential to repeat around the map.
Joko doesn't have his own flash as well, of course. It makes it a little bit harder for the Rumble, for the Nocturne to gank early on. You want to be able to land that flash fear tether if you can, but Jankos trying to steal away these Razor Beaks isn't in the best of spots, because Perkz did back away and doesn't have a teleport, has the smite, of course, in the mid lane. He's now finished his first item as well, that Stalker's Blade complete.
Going to be working towards that Warrior Enchantment, of course, that we've seen in the last game as well. Building up the CDR on that Aatrox, but we look at Joko. He's stuck here at level 3 because he has been bullied around a bit, lost some time with that execute. And as far as where can he be ganked, or where can he look for ganks, it's not the mid lane, because that champ should be permabanned.
I just want to say as well, I was on Ready Check. It's only my second time ever on Ready Check, and I said
you did
to
great,
Deficio,
by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I said to Deficio, maybe Aatrox will be let through, maybe some teams will have an ability to counter him. He said, no, what are you doing, Medic? You're dumb, they're going to lose automatically. And yes, Schalke beat Splice, so he was right that you would lose, but I just want to say he demeaned me slightly, and I felt slightly hurt by that, and I was right and he was wrong.
I mean, it also just proves that you're the better analyst. Exactly. I also saw you did the sweet breakdown of the Rakan, talking about how you're Diamond 3.
I don't see Deficio
Is
Diamond
Deficio
3.
Diamond 3? I don't think so.
I just think he's Diamond 5. Ooh, low elo, I believe that's called. Betsy trading in here on Perkz in the mid lane. Not going to be able to get too much out of it. Betsy will have that flash up soon as well. And a pretty even start for both these two teams. 6 minutes in, I'm sure Giants will take this. You can see Steelback is starting to get like those beginning parts of items as well on the Lucian. We'll be voting towards the Blade of the Ruin King, we expect.
But right now, Perkz and Jankos are inside of Joko's jungle. It's a level 6 on Perkz. They're looking for the play.
Yeah, Joko, no flash on that Nocturne at all. Nuxalot's trying to come in here. There's the hero's entrance as well. The knocker, Perkz caught out, brings out the world ender, but his is the life that will be ended first. Goes into the resurrection. Jankos running away with Did, looking for the Devour. Gets there in time. Steelback has the blast cone, but won't jump forward. And Perkz manages to escape.
Steelback actually jumped over the wall right there. He had the flank going, but thought that his team was going to be able to secure the kill. An amazing save there onto Perkz, because I was sure G2 were going to lose at least that one member.
However, the reaction from Giants was really good as well.
It was.
You thought Joko was going to die. Immediate hero's entrance, immediate reaction by Nuxalot to get in the middle of the fight as well. So you have to give credit to them. They're being more proactive. They're being more aware of the enemy position. And Giants are looking a lot stronger than they have in the past.
And it's very important to protect that Nocturne in the early game too. Level 4, without his flash inside his own jungle, he's going to get destroyed in any fight that would break out. But now he's got level 5, working on level 6, and once that happens, that's when you can look for plays around the map. Now that Wadid doesn't have a flash in the bottom lane, we mentioned how powerful this Lucian Alistar combo can be for setting up plays for that Nocturne.
Really interesting to see Perkz not as far ahead on this Aatrox as we saw in the last game. Nuke Duck was level 6 at 5 minutes. He was in such a good position, 100 CS really quickly as well. Here, Perkz only a level ahead of Betsy, only a few CS as well. So the fight starting up down towards that bottom side. Steelback has to flash across the wall, across that pillar to get himself to safety. But still, Giants able not to sacrifice too much to G2 here.
Yeah, just the flash off of Steelback, and it is very difficult to punish a Lucian as a Tahm Kench Ziggs bottom lane, so shouldn't be too hurt with that coming through.
Starting to see these level 6 hit. We've already seen the hero's entrance. Joko now has the paranoia. Ruin has the equalizer. Where are we looking if we're Giants? Are you going down towards that bottom lane, or are you playing towards Ruin on the top side of the map?
I think it's got to be the bottom lane right now. Ruin is doing a good job of just shoving in and creating pressure on the top side, but it is hard to dive onto a Gragas. With that explosive barrel, can knock everyone away. I would much rather see them focus around here on the bottom side of the map, like it looks like they're shifting towards already.
Unfortunately, we do have a pause coming out very quickly. I'm sure we'll get this rectified as soon as possible. Looks like it might be something to do with Betsy. That's where the referee's standing, but we will find out as shortly as we can. I think if you're a Giants fan at the moment, you have a lot of hope in this game. Is scaling up. Your Nocturne's just hit 6. That first paranoia is always a pivotal moment for any game when a Nocturne is in it, and he has set up down towards that bottom lane.
And importantly, this Aatrox that they left through to everyone's dismay, it seemed, apart from G2 fans, has not been able to run away with the game yet. It's been very even in the mid lane between him and Betsy. CS very, very tight between the two players, and that means that this Aatrox pick, without having as large an impact as we expected, everything's going well for Giants. They can use this Galio to have an impact across the map.
I want to talk a little bit more about that Aatrox. From what I've seen, he seems to be lane dominant, very good at bullying in the lane, very strong when you can get a slight lead on him, but his teamfights aren't quite as effective as perhaps some other mid lane carries. As someone who's played around with him and obviously experimented with him a little bit, where do you think he thrives the most?
Oh, thriving has to be the laning phase, just his dominance, because it's interesting. Because he has so much range built into his Q, he can actually bully around a lot of the other melee champions he's laning up against. Whenever they walk forward for a minion, he hits them with the sweet spot. He can also redirect that Q with his E in order to dash and move that sweet spot to lock that down. It also looks very good for the Aatrox in those mid-game skirmishes where he has that insane survivability, is working on the Death's Dance as well as the Black Cleaver, so he can spam out all those spells and sustain him on through. The weakness for Aatrox comes a little bit later in the game, where there is potential to kite this champion out. If you are a ranged champion and can keep your distance from him and he's not landing his abilities, that's where he can struggle.
So when we get to the late game, when it's all about the Lucian for Giants, that's when the Aatrox is going to struggle. But until then, so many opportunities for G2 to win out in this matchups. And we are going to jump back on to the Summoner's Rift. Obviously, whatever the pause was has been rectified. Joko is down towards that bottom lane. You can see Betsy positioning down towards this bottom side as well. Has the hero's entrance if he needs it. Perks gets vision on Betsy. But we have to watch Steelback and Nuxalot. Nuxalot engages. There's the calling as well. There's the paranoia, and that's all you need to take down Wadid. One down. Hjarnan's going to flash the wall. Joko with the flash follow, though, looking for that red buff slow. Hjarnan tries to get under his tower, but there's no hope there. Joko lands the final shot. Perks dived under the mid lane as well and took out Betsy, keeps himself alive. Ruin will chase them away from the tower.
Yeah, Ruin was almost able to outplay. He's actually walking a little far forward.
Yeah, Ruin's going all the way into this one. I'm too brave, Ruin, too brave. Perks will easily take the second kill.
That's a heartbreaker there for Giants because Joko's play in the bottom lane was absolutely fantastic. They got the double kill, punishing Wadid trying to walk forward for the vision, and then Betsy, actually, he's looking for a bit himself. Almost
caught Perks with that tower shot. If he'd been slightly closer, would have got the tower down. But first tower will go down for Giants down towards that bottom lane. The Mega Inferno Bomb not going to stop them in their tracks. 1,000 gold lead now for Giants coming up to 10 minutes.
Still going well for Giants. A few misplays around that middle lane. 2 kills over to Perks, but Wadid and Hjarnan, they're walking forward for vision in the brush. There's no flash on towards Wadid, so they can just drop all their summoner spells and ultimates on towards him. And Joko's confident going forward for the flash, and a little bit of style here on Hjarnan as they just toss out the skill shots without tanking any shots.
Just Duskbringer to the face. Let's have a look at this mid lane fight as well, though, because Perks is the one to engage on Betsy.
Again, a little bit of a late teleport here from Moon. He TPs in as soon as he sees Jankos, though, and they go straight underneath the turret because they know Perks can still dive and revive even after taking the shots with the changes to his ultimate and revive passive. He can then walk out of turret range while being untargetable and not get punished in the long run.
And then after that, of course, we saw Ruin just being a little bit too manly, a little bit too brave, trying to take the 1v2, and because of that, he gives up a kill. Haven't really been able to see him snowball the first kill that he got up towards that top side. Wonder's done a good job of getting himself back into a strong position, has the Sheen now. He's got a Kindle gem as well, so building parts of a bunch of different items on that Gragas.
But Giants don't care about top lane anymore. Joko is going to be in this bottom lane 24/7. There's no flash on either of the duo from G2, and Nuxalot is waiting to go on in.
Still no ultimate on Joko either. Steelback hit back with the satchel charge. Jankos joins the fight as well. Wadid's the one to be knocked back, but Steelback is low. Wadid, great stopwatch from him. There's the culling straight onto Jankos, speared away. And Giants will reset the fight. They know Joko has paranoia soon. Meanwhile, in the river, Perks got caught out by Betsy. Here comes the Tom Kench. Perks stands in the equalizer. There's the hero as well, right onto the base of Ruin, and the knock-up is perfect. 2 down. Giants collapse in the river.
This is the Joko we've been waiting to see for Giants, and G2 are getting caught a little bit in this heavy skirmish game. Giants are taking the fight to G2 and winning out in these matchups.
We said it was the opportune moment for Giants to sneak a win off G2, coming off the back of a loss against Misfits. Confidence probably a little bit lower than usual, and Giants are capitalizing in this early game. Wonder unable to join the fight, didn't have the teleport, and Ruin in the right position once again.
And Joko as well comes in for the double kill. He's got a scoreline of 4-1-1. Lethality coming through on the way for him as well. This is the play in the river because at the start, Perks actually stops Betsy from being able to use his hero's entrance to turn the tide of that fight in the bottom lane, but then goes for the re-engage because he has the Tom Kench. Unfortunately, there's another global on the other side. It's Joko with the paranoia to come back in for the double.
Great stuff from Joko. We talk about how impactful junglers are in the current meta. Max Law, Memento, maybe you have to put Joko up on that list now as well. Doing an incredible job here for Giants, helping them out in this early game. We're 12 minutes in, they have a 1,000 gold lead. They've now swapped their bot lane up towards that top side. Wonder did manage to get top tower for himself. So Ruin's teleports have come at a price, but not one I'm sure G2 would have wanted.
Yeah, I mean, Giants are going to be happy with that trade as well because they ended up getting the turret in the bottom lane after all those plays from Joko. Ruin, though, does have to be careful. There's no flash on this Rumble, so dives are definitely a possibility, but you see that Giants are looking to make a play around him, bringing the rest of the crew in to try and shut this down.
So many teleports on Giants as well. If Steelback wants to TP down towards this bottom side, he has the opportunity. Betsy's coming off cooldown soon as well, and Ruin, of course, already in the lane, so if he teleported to the tower, maybe a slight misplay by him, but still a very strong position here for Giants. Starting to see those first completed items related to Ruin King, as we expected on the Lucian, and Morello Nomicon first for Ruin.
Fighting the bot lane, here we go, Giants going in.
Equalizer is the play that they used to set it up with Did, trying to get away from this one, Hyanan as well, but they're running towards nothing. There's no tower for you to get to. The fear comes out. Hyanan spat out at the end as well. The paranoia used. Jumps straight onto Jankos. This is split all away across the map, but Steelback manages to get one. Now Betsy's on the wrong side of it, lands the double taunt, the knockback with the explosive cast. Betsy somehow still alive. Wonder flashes in and slams down the cask on his face. G2 might look for the re-engage here as well. Perks cannot land the sweet spot and it ends up being a 1-for-1.
I thought for sure Joko was going to jump straight into the middle of the fight there on towards Hjarnan. Perhaps didn't want to lose the shutdown gold though, and ends up being a 1-for-1 in the end. But man, oh man, this is so fun because neither team is going back to lanes. Top lane has minions in it for the last minute and a half, 2 minutes. Wonder and Ruin, they're like, nah, we have TPs, doesn't matter. We're going to walk straight down to this bottom lane because we know there's going to be a fight and both teams clash heads.
What I'm loving about this game as well is Giants up until last week really called themselves the late game kings, and this has been all about the early game for them. They're being proactive, they're making plays like this.
And that's very much been something they've wanted to shake off because they've been moving into that earlier style game, as you mentioned. And right here, they are able to get with Deed. It was just, I think Joko thought they surely had that kill on towards Hjarnan, was looking for a little bit more. Unfortunately, Betsy ends up paying the price on the back end of this because his flash is just a little bit away from coming back off cooldown, stopping him from being able to escape.
Wonder did have to burn his flash to get into the middle of it all. You can see, although Hjarnan fell pretty low in that fight, was still able to put a huge amount of damage down. Something Ziggs is so good at. You've got the Hexplosive minefield, you've got the bombs coming out if someone's chasing you. Just throw a bomb at their face and usually it works out well.
See, that's cool, but Jankos did 0.
Yeah, he wasn't really in the fight. He kind of got paranoid, ran away a little bit, and then Joko was like, cool, okay, I guess you're not here anymore.
Yeah, Jankos was on the wrong side. I think he actually butted out Joko with the blast cone, but
yeah. I think we give him a buy on that one. I don't think we expected him to do too much.
I just know Twitch chat loves those zeros.
That's true. That's true.
I can see them already. I don't have Twitch chat open, but there's just millions of zeros coming through chat right now.
We all know all casters have Twitch chat open the entire time to see if our jokes are good, to see if they like us.
To see what Twitch chat emote, you know.
Spam Kappa if you love Ender.
Yeah.
Spam Kappa Ross if you like Medic.
Spam Kappa Pride if you like both of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the moment Giants trying to have some pride in their play, playing around this Rift Herald, about 300 gold ahead. Hasn't been extended as much as they would have liked it, but they're trying to do a little bit more as they go on towards Perks. Pops the World Ender. Nukes a lot. Doesn't quite land the Pulverize, and Wonder going to put him out of place. Nukes not pops the ult to keep himself alive for the moment. Hooked up with the pillar though, Perks with the jump in, there's the equalizer, onto the backline comes Ruin, one down, Perks running for the wins as well, Betsy lands the taunt only onto one, but that one is done, Wonder falls and G2 collapse in the mid lane.
G2 stall that fight out for long enough, put down the massive equalizer there from Ruin. Again, they are fighting G2 in all of these skirmishes, so confident in this mid game. This is what the team has been looking to see out of them for so long, and it's refreshing. It's a refreshing look for Giants.
Going for the Rift Herald as well, so they get an objective off the back of a fight. Something that's so important for teams at this level is to be able to get more than just a couple of kills. Now, G2 not willing to give it up just yet. Hyanan comes in with a teleport. Jankos there on the front line as well. Joko low on mana. Jankos can do a lot in the midst of this all, and actually, it's G2 who are going to get the Rift Herald off the back of that previous fight.
This game is wild. We're just, and nobody wants to back down ever. It's a treat to watch. Giants maybe a little bit overzealous, trying to secure themselves that Rift Herald, but look at this fight again, because at the start, it's Betsy and Steelback making the play on towards Perks in this middle lane, but you'll notice at the end of it, Jankos comes in, is diving all the way back into the back line. I think if that cask actually hits onto Sir Nuxalot, the fight ends there. They get the pick, but it doesn't come through, and that buys time for this turnaround. The burn damage from Ruin, setting up for Joko to ult in for one and flash in for the other.
Great stuff by Giants to actually find an avenue to win out that fight, because after Sir Nuxalot was out of position after he missed the Pulverize, I was pretty sure they were done. Just unfortunate for G2 that they weren't quite able to land that cask, explosive cask, that's what it's called. However, G2 have felt very much on the back foot for the majority of this game. 18 minutes in, they're still 600 gold behind. They're still in a very strong spot. They still have Perks building up into this skirmishing big.
We got another fight!
He pops the World Ender, not bad. Once again, Nuxalot in the midst of the team, and that's exactly what you want. Here's the hero's entrance. It keeps Nuxalot alive somehow. The equalizer lands onto a did, but he gobbles up Perks to keep him alive for the moment. Rift Herald comes in, doesn't take out the tower.
Oh my word, these fights are so close between the two teams, and they should be. We're dead even in the gold. Both teams so confident and really just willing to battle tooth and nail.
It feels so much like a solo queue game though, Ender.
It feels like one.
Everyone's just like, oh, you know what we should do right now? 5 players mid, let's fight. 5 players mid, let's fight. Is there no other way these teams can play?
I mean, there's definitely a way these teams can, you can have G2 come in here, macro, dominate the game, but they've been sort of sucked in to this idea because Giants have just been forcing fights consistently. I think they're sort of bringing G2 down into the mud. They're,
okay, so it's like an EU team playing an NA team then.
Exactly.
Brought down to their level.
Exactly. It would be sort of like, a Fnatic 100 Thieves situation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Splice Liquid situation.
Oh, that situation got me good. Anyway, Bedsy's still playing around this mid lane. That tower very healthy, and of course, the wave clear from Hyanan, Perks' ability to reset a fight if he needs to. It's very difficult for Giants actually to siege these towers.
Yeah, with only one ranged character, and that ranged character being a Lucian, it's like, can't really walk up and hit those. Right now, G2, I think, are trying to take a different styled approach. They put Wonder and Perks into side lanes. Hjarnan on the Ziggs, very good at just clearing waves and stalling out in the middle lane. Whereas Giants, they're still grouped up as 5 members. They're actually losing minions in these side lanes because they still want to find the skirmishes and find those engagements, which might hurt them if G2 stop, caving into that style of play.
Hyanan will get the tower in the mid lane, and it's a very slight gold lead for G2. I want to highlight this gold graph we have at the bottom of your screen. Giants against Schalke yesterday were in the lead for a very long time, up until about that 20-minute mark before they started falling behind, and Schalke were the ones who were able to pick up teamfight wins and objectives off it. Now, this game has played out very much the same. Giants have been in about 1,000 gold lead, 500 to 1,000 for the entirety of the first 20 minutes, and we're slowly seeing G2 crack into that gold advantage.
That being said, I think that in their game yesterday, they were against the funnel comp, so it felt like they were the ones on the ticking time bomb. They weren't necessarily making the plays they needed to, and then it got to this point where everything just went out of control. In a match like this, I do think the Giants can still go toe-to-toe with G2 as we move later and later on into the game. It's just, we can't see any individual mistakes from them like we saw from, a few misplays from Ruin early on, going for a little bit too much. That can't happen. Instead, group up as 5 members and keep looking for these team fights.
and keep allowing Joko to try and catch someone out on the backline. He's got his Dusk Blade now, will do a huge amount of burst if he can jump onto Hjarnan really as the priority target, maybe even Woodid, because although Tahm Kench can save other people a lot, he can't usually save himself. He's a pretty lumbering oaf if you catch him out properly. Now, Giants are the ones who are going to come up towards this top side, looking to try and take that tower down themselves. As you say, the map's gone back to more of a 1-3-1 or a 3-1-1 split for both these teams, and they kind of accepted they don't need to fight in the mid lane all of the time. Joko jumps in, double taunt, here comes Nuxalot as well. You can see the damage already onto Woodid, but he uses the thick skin to keep himself alive. Joko almost falls on the backline, shut down by Jankos. Goes down to the skirmisher's smite. Wonder not going to flash in for that engage. He was waiting for it though. Ruin coming in from the side as well. Doesn't land the Electro Harpoon, and Giants have to disengage.
That fight was so close from Giants. There's a few things, if they go differently, it's entirely different. If the taunt goes on to a Did before he can get off the Devour, different fight. If they're able to burst him down while he's CC'd before the last second thick skin, again, they come away with the victory. But unfortunately for them, it's Giants that lose out in the end.
Nuxalot?
Huh?
Nuxalot?
What?
Well, maybe that's why you ban Aatrox.
Ban Aatrox! I mean, to be fair, it's a level 14 mid laner against, what, like a level 9 support? That's not really fair.
Steelback was just around the corner as well. You feel like Steelback could have put a bit of pressure down and been like, nah, excuse me, that's my support. I like him.
So to compare Aatrox to another balanced champion, like Zoe probably gets that same solo kill right there.
That's true. But Zoe would have done it from 3 screens away, so
that's fair.
A little bit more balanced perhaps. However, that kill does help Perkz, of course. Now 3-0-2, building up towards that next item. Already has the Black Cleaver and the Warrior Enchant that we talked about. Got himself a tiny bit of magic resist as well with the Null Magic Mantle. It was interesting that we highlighted Betsy in the pick and ban. We said that he was one of the players we really wanted to see Giants play through. That hasn't been the case here. He has made some good taunts. You know, he's playing Galio, he's building AP, so he does have a bit of damage, but it's much more the Joko show for Giants this game.
Exactly. It's Joko with the hero's entrance on top of him from Betsy that's really making everything happen so far. And they have been quick on, you know, pulling the trigger. You saw in the mid lane, a little bit of a mistake from them, but I don't want them to actually slow down. I think they still can win these fights. I want them to keep the pace and the tempo of this game very high, because even looking back at their loss against Schalke yesterday, it felt a lot like this, where even though the game was close, maybe they had a bit of an advantage, they didn't pull the trigger, here they go!
Nuxalot jumps in straight onto the backline with Joko as well, but he's knocked up, goes golden, one down, we did the first to fall, Equalizer comes out as well, but Wonder on the backline, Hjarnan takes out Joko, and now Wonder in the midst of all 4 members of Giants. You can see Perkz coming down, trying to join the fight as well. There's a hero's entrance, Ruin chases in, gets Wonder, but he goes, and now Perkz says, hello pretties, I want a piece of this action, jumps forward, the sweet spot hits, Nuxalot sacrifices himself, Perkz will take him down, and G2 still on the chase here. Jankos will have a pillar up in just a second, knocks Betsy back, there's the taunt, Perkz waits around the side, Betsy falls, and G2 equalize the scoreline at 10-10.
The movement speed from that World Ender meant Perkz was able to chase down the rest of Giants. A very aggressive play out of them. The idea is there. Unfortunately, don't pull it off quite in time. Nuxalot and Joko go in simultaneously. Great communication from them on that front. And at the start, it all looks good, but the time that Wonder buys, diving onto the 4 members of Giants and still surviving for so long, forcing Ruin to trade 1-for-1, buys time for this rotation to come. Perkz was in the top lane, makes it all the way down, thanks in part to that movement speed from the World Ender, and they're able to mop up on the back end.
It's just great stuff from G2 all around, and maybe a little bit over-aggressive from Giants. They dived into 4 members of G2.
Yeah.
Usually that's a little bit brave, and you can see, oh, we did, man.
0
It's a disgrace.
as a support doing
he's
damage.
Disgusting to supports everywhere.
At least Hjarnan did a good job.
Yeah.
He probably saved Hjarnan at some point. Who knows?
Anyway, good stuff all around from G2. You can see Hjarnan still putting the damage out, even if he's the one targeted by Joko at the start of a fight. And now G2 a 4,000 gold lead, 25 minutes in. You feel very much like this game has swung in the favor of G2.
And the map itself will tell you that all the vision, the control words layered down throughout the river mean that Giants can't go past that halfway point anymore without bringing the whole crew to bully their way on in. And that should continue up here into the top side of the map. G2 will put down vision, will sweep away the wards and start encroaching it into the territory of Giants as they themselves try to slow down the pace of the game and stop Giants from finding those windows of opportunity.
It's interesting to say that we want G2 to slow the pace down a little bit. I agree. Like, stopping the fighting is great for G2 because they want to get this next, they want to get the Death Dance onto Aatrox. They want to get these items and then look to force their skirmishes or their team fights or their if they can. Joko doesn't prescribe the G2 strategy. He says, I'm gonna do a little bit of damage here. Kiana has to burn his flash. At some point soon, I feel like we'll have a Giants Desperation Baron. I feel like it's going to happen.
It may very well. The goal difference, though, it's telling the story a bit of this game. Giants slightly in the lead, making plays, constantly scrapping, but never really tearing away from the pack, never blasting G2 out of this one. And then all it took was that overambitious dive in the mid lane to really swing things around in G2's favor.
It's the story that they had yesterday as well. Perk steps out of the bush. It's like, oh, hello, there's a Lucian in this lane.
Get away from me.
I think Steelback will want to leave this lane pretty darn quickly. He's going to stay underneath this tower if he can, but we've seen enough of Aatrox to know that even a tower cannot always save you. Jankos puts the pillar down, stops Betsy in his tracks. Superb stuff by him. The taunt comes out as well. The knockback with the satchel charge. Betsy now in the midst of three, but it's only Kiana here. His entrance used by Betsy to get himself away. They know Joko doesn't have the ult either. Here's Perks. No tower can stop him. No force on Earth can stop the world ender when he wants a kill. He gets a double. He's going to run out as well. Resurrecting, coming back from the grave. Perks eaten up by Woodid, but Ruin is here with the equalizer. Woodid's going to be the first to fall hit for Giants. They'll take one, and G2 will get away.
Fortunately, Joko doesn't have the paranoia. Otherwise, Giants very likely look to turn that fight around. Again, just showing you the strength of this Aatrox. Diving turrets freely underneath them with that World Ender makes it so safe for him to be able to do that. And G2 continue to build on that advantage.
Game's so much closer than I think anyone would have predicted coming into the day, though. At the 30-minute mark, I think most people thought G2 would have closed this game out. They do have a 4,500 gold lead, and they do have a massive Aatrox who can help them with plays like this.
Great interaction there on the pillar. Galio's E cannot go through terrain, so as soon as the pillar comes down, stops him in his track, bumps him back the other way. He does actually survive for a long time using the hero's exit there onto his ally, but Perks dives the towers with impunity. The rest of his team isn't there, but he dives between two turrets, runs out of them with the resurrection, gets gobbled up by Tahm Kench, and spat out on the other end to survive in the end.
I wonder how much damage Woodid did in that team fight. I think we should track it every game. I mean, you are playing Tahm Kench. You're not expected to do that.
He sacrificed himself.
All you have to do is land one Q and you get some damage in the fight. You can see his whole job is just to cleanse out using that QSS and then swallow up one of his teammates to keep them safe for the time being. Ruin's going to have to flash away, flash in there by Wonder, but actually gets the knockback with the explosive cast. Perks now caught off on the other side of the map. Giants trying to react to that play in the bottom lane. Perks goes into the World Ender. Passive, resurrects, looking for the flash across the wall. If he can get it, doesn't have it, but he has the Umbral Trespass. Paranoia comes out. That's a great kill by Giants.
Desperation Baron Giants, maybe, perhaps.
Told you.
The rest of G2 is on the bottom side of the map, but they do have teleports on Wonder and Tjarnan. Very unlikely that Giants can actually pull this off.
Desperation Scuttle Crab.
Oh, yeah. They got it!
It works for them!
Oh, my God!
Great stuff, Giants.
Incredible.
Anyway, but they will finally get this mid lane tower, maybe.
In desperation?
They've been pushing, no, it's no longer desperation.
Okay, sorry.
They've been pushing for this for a long time, though. I remember about 15 minutes ago, we talked about them trying to play in the mid lane. That's exactly what they're doing now. Wonder with the flank, doesn't have the ult, but you can see the damage coming down onto Betsy already. Hero's exit knocked up by Wonder. The body slam perfect. Nuxalot caught out as well. 2 kills for G2, and the desperation mid lane tower did not work for them. Steelback flashes away. G2 win the fray.
This might actually be G2's opportunity to make their way on over to the Baron. They take it down relatively slowly. They don't have a great source of consistent DPS. The Zig's not quite going to be the same level as, say, a Lucian, but...
It's your moment.
Yeah, Giants are going to have to contest this. Joko doesn't have ultimate, but he does have flash to get into the pit. if he manages to do so, but the Ziggs poke is deadly around this pit.
Gonna take the win. This is your moment to do it. Equalizer comes out, forcing them away. Ruin in the midst of them all, exhausted straight away, and G2 get another. Perks trying to chase Steel back up towards the top side of this, using the Light Slinger to get as much out of his passive as possible. G2 don't want to go for the ban now. They got what they needed, a 6,000 gold lead at the 30-minute mark.
Poor Ruin, sacrificing his life to keep it alive.
I don't think he needed to, though, because you put the Equalizer down, and then you can just walk away.
He felt the interaction there from the Trundle pillar.
Yes, didn't work out too well for him. It's a couple of times this game that he has done that, and a couple of times this split that he really hasn't performed to the almost rookie of the split status we saw him at last split. You know, at the first 5 weeks, first 6 weeks, he was very much in the running to be the rookie of the split, but just kind of dropped down in his overall level of performance.
Right, it seemed like the opinion of Ruin sort of dropped with the performance of Giants. As soon as they, as a team, stopped, you know, performing well and having those early wins in the split and started dropping down, that's when Ruin didn't feel like he had a huge impact in these games. And certainly in this game, even though the scoreline doesn't look all that impressive, the equalizers have been massive in these team fights, but they're going to have to continue to be on point now that Giants are down 6,000 gold.
And Rumble, a champion that doesn't scale incredibly well into the late game either, always known more for his mid-game prowess. Perk's going to jump onto Steel back here off towards the side. He's a full-on skirmish Aatrox now, level 17, highest level in the game. He's been able to pick up that Death's Dance and completed the Black Cleaver as well, but Spectre's Cowl next. Maybe Spirit Visage?
Spirit Visage for the extra healing.
It's on heal.
All about the healing. He's healing in his kit, healing in his items, bonus healing from his items, the whole 9 yards.
Could be a doctor with the amount of healing he's doing.
Are you a doctor?
Yes. How did you know?
I mean, maybe your name or something, I don't know.
Everyone thinks it's a Team Fortress 2 reference.
Ah.
And I say yes, but I've never played the game.
Neither have I.
Apparently someone shouts medic in it. Or someone is a medic. At the moment, Jankos is a strong jungler as he takes down the Ocean Drake by himself on the Trundle. Yet to die this game. Much better performance than his Kindred yesterday, where a couple of times he mispositioned, died, and maybe, I think you could say, cost his team some vital moments of that game against Misfits.
Definitely could say that. I think G2 as a whole continued to keep up in spirits after that loss against Misfits. Again, they are very much trying to get back on track after that loss. Business as usual. They should beat every team in the league besides Misfits. That is the expectation with a team of this caliber, and are certainly doing so in this game. 33 minutes in, maybe a little bit slow for their liking. They do still have that large gold lead.
Sometimes you just have to grind out a win.
Sure.
It's the same. You know, sometimes you have a bad week at work, you have to just grind out the work, you have to just finish what you've got on your plate. It's exactly what G2 need to do here. It's not a clean win, it's not the prettiest win, it's not how they would have wanted to win, but just grind it out, you finish the game, and you go home, take a day off, and then look at how you can improve for next week. It's exactly what they'll be wanting to do, but Giants still stand in their way. It is only a 6,500 gold lead. It sounds big, but we talked about how strong Giants are as they scale, as this Lucian gets up towards those 4 or 5 items. He's finished the rapid fire cannon now as well, so if Steelback can come good for Giants, can show one of his rare, impeccable performances, maybe Giants still have a chance.
There's certainly ability for him to outplay in team fights on this Lucian, and I'm curious to see if Giants continue to pull the trigger. Now that Joko has that Guardian's Angel, it means he has that get-out-of-jail-free card if he wants to go deep, trade 1-for-1 onto one of the carry members on G2's side. But on the flip hand of that, G2, they've really... all their plays have been off the back of Giants' own aggression. So now that Giants haven't been using Joko offensively, nothing's really happened in the last few minutes, and that may see the game stall out even longer as... Actually, we're just going in.
Yeah, they're going to keep forcing the fights. The World Ender used by Perks, but he's just going to run straight into Sir Nukesalot, looking for the flash across the wall, lands it. Nukesalot there for the chase, and the headbutt from the cow's enough. Giants pick up Perks and take down the key carry on G2.
But how much are Giants willing to risk to go for now? There is that turn in the mid lane they'd
Do
love.
it, Giants.
There's a Baron up as well, and no Aatrox on the side of G2. This feels almost like a dream case scenario. They're starting it up with Ruin on the flank for the equalizer.
Here we go. Giants starting up the Baron. You can see Sanuxalot has a great flank off here. Ruin's going to pop down the equalizer, and here's the hero's entrance. Wonder, though, in that front line's pushing back, steal back, one down. Woodid knocked up as well, and this is perfect. The Giants take down the gods that are G2, and they're going to turn back towards the Baron.
Absolutely brilliant play there from Giants. Now they've got 5 members in the pit. Jankos is alive. He does have the flash. He's going to have to get dirty in this pit for the steal.
You can see Wonder off towards the side as well. Can join the fight if he needs to. Nuxalot trying to keep Jankos away. Baron down to 2,000. Nuxalot doing exactly what he needed to, and now Jankos and Wonder have to run away. Nuxalot does get taken out in the end, but Jankos steal back, flashes forward. That's not something I'm used to saying, but he gets the kill, and Giants get the Baron.
Giants bringing it back. They're only down 2,000 at the moment, and with the Baron, this is when they look to force the place. The flank here set up beautifully. Ruin on one side, Sir Nuxalot on the other. 3-man knock-up into the backline. Goes into an equalizer hero's entrance, but keep your eyes on Betsy. He's able to stop Woodid from getting the eat off on towards Yarnan right there. That's absolutely massive in the team fight. Means he can't spit him out over the wall. Means G2 cannot regroup, and leads to that Baron for Giants.
Perks with the 0 damage this time, just rotating through the team. And he was dead. So
he was dead, man.
Still, G2 not in the shape they would have liked to be. That gold lead that was 6,000 now shrunk down to 2. Baron buff still remains for 2.5 minutes as well here for Giants. What a story this would be for them to be able to win this game, put that challenge on towards some of those teams just above them in the standings. Betsy's the one they're looking to catch, but the teleport comes in straight away. That's steal back.
This is great for Giants.
The fray. Paranoia comes out. Great knockback. For the Paranoia, Nuxalot gets the flank in.
He got
here.
Yarnan!
Yarnan gets taken out by Joko. There's the equalizer as well. Woodid's going to have to stand in that for ages. Giants with a perfect fight down towards this bottom side.
Oh, Betsy!
Man, taught the man of the hour steps up. It's Betsy, it's Giants, it's G2 falling to pieces in the bottom lane. And Giants come up huge.
Oh my god, Giants are going to win this game, Medic. They've got 5 members still up. Joko is on the other side of that fight, has assassinated Yarnan, and the rest of the team collapsed. They're going for the push, the win right on this.
It was a ticking time bomb, and Giants have finally exploded. G2 scattered to the winds by the Giants. They are more like Titans today. They take down G2, and Giants go 2-6.
Absolutely incredible. The coaching staff comes on the stage. This is what we've been waiting for. They got the win at the start of the split. Weren't able to find anything until they toppled G2. Fantastic stuff out of them. Joko stepping up to the plate on this Nocturne, making the early plays happen. Every